1. Saturday night was the worst night I've ever worked. I work in a tourist town in the most central spot for tourists to stay, eat, and attend events. Holiday season is especially busy due to a huge tourist attraction I won't name because I don't want to disclose where I work and live. Saturday nights are absolutely crushing. I work at a chain that takes huge parties. We usually only have 5 or 6 servers on, with sections of 7+ tables per server. I've served extremely busy nights with the biggest section, about 12 tables, and handled it well. So when I was placed in a 7-table section, I thought the night would be a piece of cake. Wrong. The kitchen got extremely overwhelmed. Kitchen is short-staffed and we have to hang on to the people we have because nobody wants to work long, grueling hours for little pay and no tips. We ended up having 15 pages at one point. My section was full. I had a family of 4 who seemed nice enough. The kids were hungry, tickets were so far behind that I wasn't able to go into the kitchen to run my food. And I was solely relying on the food runner to bring out my food. One of the kids at the table told me she was hungry and that it was taking too long. Fair. I realized it had been 30 minutes and their food wasn't out, so I rushed into the kitchen. No ticket. My food had gotten bumped. No food made. I had to bring my manager with and try to explain what happened. Got screamed at and degraded by the middle-aged mom in front of all my customers. I had tears in my eyes, told them I'd bring out whatever I could in the meantime, and that their bill would be completely on the house. Unfortunately, the ticket for another one of my tables, 42, also got bumped. I had to brave it up and face them while trying to wipe away my tears and tell them their food was not coming out anytime soon. Table 42 was so understanding. I comped their food, got them something to munch on in the meantime, totally chatted me up and told me I was doing a great job, and they knew it wasn't my fault. Absolute angels. I go back to check on the family's food, and come to find out, after another 30 minutes, they had bumped my food again without making it. It was an absolute train wreck. Had to give them a big gift card and grab a manager that was also serving to fix the situation, because I did not know what to do at that point, besides beg for forgiveness, which is exactly what we had to do. More screaming, more degrading. Finally, the food came out for both tables. The one table wouldn't even acknowledge me the rest of the night. They got 2 free rounds of drinks and everything under the sun I could possibly think of. It was an absolute mess. I feel awful, but I don't know what else I could have done, besides trying to go back there and cook the food myself when there's hundreds of other orders that need to be made, with a kitchen full of guys who are ready to walk out any second. I was belittled and degraded, treated less than human in front of everyone, for a mistake that was pretty much out of my control. Obviously a horrendous situation, and I feel awful for the family, I truly do. 42 witnessed everything. They told me they absolutely loved their food. I gave them extra goodies to take home. We chatted for a bit. And then they tipped me 200%. I literally could not stop crying because it was the kindest thing I had ever experienced after a terrible situation for everyone that night. Truly made my day. I hope they know how much that meant to me. Definitely the kindest people I've encountered. 2. Funny story to me, now that it's over, dealing with a racist Karen. Honestly, I despise serving. Don't get me wrong, I actually enjoy serving as a job, but I hate dealing with customers as a server. Bartending is a completely different vibe. They just treat you different. But I picked up a serving gig for some extra money. I am a black trans waitress. This will be important later. This white lady comes out during lunch today and starts yelling at the hostess about an order she had received yesterday that her husband picked up, and it was completely messed up and missing items. Now I get it. You're upset that your food you ordered was incorrect, and not only was it incorrect, you had to drive 20 minutes out of the way. I honestly get it, and I would be annoyed as well. But there is no reason to come into a restaurant calling the 16-year-old hostess a bitch, and other words that happen on Tuesdays. So it is busy, and we're all running around doing our thing, and I just happened to be walking up to the hostess stand because one of my tables broke his crayon, so I went to get another kid's menu. I hear her berating the hostess, who is a sweetheart and a kid. No one deserves to be spoken to like that, especially a child. I ask the hostess, "Maya, what's going on, hon?" She is literally flustered and can't even speak, so I told her to go get a manager, and I watched the stand for a second. At this point, the kid can wait for his crayons. She goes to get the manager, and the woman decides to, for whatever reason, turn her attention and anger to me. At this point, I hadn't said a word to this woman.
"Oh, I guess they just let anyone work here."
Excuse me.
"No wonder you guys can't even make an order correct. You have men who are confused if the men or women working here. No wonder you can't get this right."
At this point, I'm looking at this woman like, are you fucking kidding me? So I try to leave the host stand because at this point I'm livid. So I walk off, and she follows me through the dining room.
"Sir, ma'am, whatever you are, get back here with your undereducated monkey ass."
She says this loudly in the dining room to the point people literally stop talking. So that's when I go off and start yelling at the woman. She is immediately trying to play the victim, as if she did not just make a racist insult to me. The manager comes, finally, to the front along with a few kitchen crew, and she literally goes,
"Shanae over here is being a hood rat. I just want you guys to fix the order."
By now I'm ready to catch the charge, but I do as I'm told and go back to the kitchen. I am shaking. One of the kitchen guys I'm sort of dating was ready to jump on her. Come to find out, this dumbass woman came to the wrong location. We have 4 in the city, and she just assumed it was this one since it was close to her house. In the end, she was banned for life from all 4 locations and refused a refund. Several of the tables that witnessed the exchange came to bat for me, and one of my tables left the bill, I'm not sure if it was a pity tip or I would have gotten it anyway, of $140 on a $140 tab. I didn't get in trouble for cussing her out, the owner was actually there, and even the manager wanted to slap the woman. But this woman literally almost got her ass beat over some burnt wings, missing mac and cheese, and she was at the wrong location, all because she is a bigot. 3. Tonight I was grabbing all the cheese shakers off the tables after we were closed. There were a few tables still sitting in there. I went up to a couple sitting at one of the booths and asked if I could grab the shaker. As I was grabbing it, the lady asked me, "Do you guys always leave the table dirty like this when people are waiting to pay?" I was super confused. I saw that she and the guy she was with had made a huge mess of the table. Parmesan cheese and salad and croutons everywhere, crumpled placemats and napkins and sugar packets, just a disaster. I was like, "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" I could see that their server had fully pre-bussed their table, plates had been removed, etc. It was just their crazy garbage that they had strewn about and a check tray, with their check and credit card on it, like they were waiting for the server to come grab their payment. Again, she said, "Did you guys always leave the table this messy when people are waiting to pay?" I was so confused by the question. I thought she was trying to ask if we cleaned tables in between guests, so I said, "Oh, we always bus and reset the tables before the next guests are seated there." So again, she was like, "Oh, so you always leave the tables this messy when guests are ready to pay?" So now I finally realized what she was saying. It dawned on me that she was asking if we cleaned up our guests' insane mess while they're still sitting there. Oh my god, you guys, I was legit stunned. I had so many things running through my mind, like, A, we are not a fancy place that cleans up after you while you're eating. We're like an Applebee's equivalent. We'll clear your plates, but if you don't want to be eating at a table that is covered with bullshit, it's your responsibility to put your garbage on your salad plate or in an empty cup or whatever it is that's about to get cleared away. B, most guests don't even make that big of a mess in the first place. The majority of tables just leave a few crumbs or some straw wrappers on them. Not everybody cleans up after themselves, which is honestly fine. but a pile of food and crap in the middle of the table is psychotic, especially if you have no kids with you. It's rude even if you have kids, although slightly more understandable. See, no, we don't clean your nasty-ass mess while you're still sitting there. You are a guest. We are not your personal servants. We aren't going to whisk away the evidence of what a pig you are. If you don't want to eat in filth, don't make such a goddamn mess. After you leave, we clean it, and judge the crap out of you for being so rude and disgusting. All these things were running through my mind as I was finally processing what she meant. I was so shocked I just pretended not to understand and said, "Well, we're closed, so all the tables will be cleaned as everybody leaves." As I was walking away, I heard the guy quietly say to her, "That was a really weird question." And I was thinking, yeah, WTF? So of course I quickly told everybody within my line of sight in the service area, since I was so shocked by the whole thing. I've worked there for 6 years and nobody has ever asked me a question like that. So anyway, their server went out to their table to process their payment, and she realized everything was a mess because of the dog they had with them. Their little service dog was eating off the table, and that's why there was food all over and everything was all crazy looking. Since we were closed, the server was focusing on her sidewalk and didn't see what was going on with the dog, who was adorable, by the way, but come on. Anyway, as she went out there, she saw the woman had one of our water glasses on the ground and was letting her dog drink out of it, like, "Ma'am, what are you doing?" In my state, you can, of course, have a service dog, but I've always been under the impression that they're not allowed to drink out of the establishment's glasses and eat Parmesan cheese straight off the table. Like, yo, what is even happening? Anyway, that whole thing was crazy. We've had a lot of crazy interactions with guests, including a homeless woman dyeing her hair in our bathroom, a guy jerking it in the lobby, and a woman who stripped off her shirt and was screaming, completely topless, in front of the host stand. But I swear to God, nothing has ever stuck out to me quite as odd as this lady who was repeatedly passive-aggressively inquiring as to why we weren't cleaning up what turned out to be her dog's dinner remnants from the tabletop while they were waiting to pay. I was just trying to grab the cheese shakers, for fuck's sake. 4. I am a 22-year-old woman and work in a hotel club lounge. It's where all the people spending most of the money in the hotel get to enjoy complimentary buffet services and unlimited alcoholic beverages. Because of this, I deal with annoying drunks on the regular, but this man really makes my blood boil. Him and his family come in pretty regularly for how expensive the lounge is. It is mostly just him and his wife, 70-ish, sometimes accompanied by their daughter, 40-ish. The last time I served them, it was just the husband and wife. The husband got pretty drunk, and as I went up to ask if I could clear their table, he said, and I quote, "My wife doesn't like when I talk to you because she thinks I'm trying to sleep with you. As if you'd ever sleep with me." The sad thing is, his wife, who wasn't drunk, was sitting right next to him. Unfortunately, this is one of the many times grown men have hit on me in front of their wives. I have been asked to spin for men, called beautiful and winked at some points, some uncomfortable touching while passing drinks, and many more. All different men and all in front of their wives. So this behavior was uncomfortable but not surprising. I saw her trying to compose herself and just let out an awkward giggle, and asked if there was anything I could do for them. The wife then told me I was a trooper for still having a smile on my face. She made me feel a lot more comfortable, but I was still sad for her having to listen to her husband say that to me. That was the last time. 2 days ago, they joined us again this afternoon, this time with their daughter. I still remembered the last encounter, but again, this is pretty regular behavior, so I am sadly used to treating horrible men like the Queen of England. I put a smile and greeted them by saying I was happy to see them, but especially the wife. There were no services on at that moment, so they said they would be back for evening canapés. They have a particular table they like to sit at, and I was sectioned in a different area, so I was at least a bit grateful that I wouldn't be chatting with them too much. Seems like I'm being punished by the universe or something, because A family took their usual table, so they instead sat in my section. And I just knew that I would have to be a part of some crazy conversation. But I soldiered through deliberately, making it seem like I'm running all over the place by helping other sections too, so I wouldn't be around long enough to chat while still making sure they had everything they needed. But slowly everyone started leaving till it was just one table in each section, so I couldn't hide too much from them. I asked if they needed another top-up of their drinks, and the husband and daughter told me they were just finishing up to go to the theater. I pretended to be interested. To be honest, I don't know anything about the theater. Made a bit of a fool out of myself, not knowing a Shakespeare play, but whatever, not the point. This somehow leads into a conversation about COVID, and how a lot of small businesses had shut down during that time. I chimed in with my own experience, telling them that I was a children's karate instructor, and had to shut down during COVID too. They were quite impressed. This is like the shiny Charizard card I pull out when I want to bond with older people. Tell the men I had a business at 18, and my second black belt by 16, and maybe they won't see me as just waitress eye candy. The husband chimes in saying, "I have a boy from Iran who works for me who calls me master because he does karate." Just add, he is white. So he was making a joke about how racist it sounds. I said that we don't actually say master, we say sensei, which is teacher in Japanese. But he continues that he kinda likes being called master, yada yada blah blah. The daughter turns to me and tells me she is a primary school teacher and that she had a punching bag in her room for when kids need to let their aggression out. I said that was a wonderful idea. And just as I was about to explain why, the husband loudly states, "Well, I need a punching bag to stop me from punching my wife." I was in shock. I know old men love a ball and chain joke, but punching your wife is not anything that I find amusing, as I would hope most people agree. The daughter looked so embarrassed with her head in her hand, and the husband then continues to make the same joke 2 more times. I don't really know how to respond to that, so I just said, "I would definitely prefer that you punch a punching bag and not your lovely wife." He just continues laughing, and the daughter tells him to leave me alone. The wife then returns to the table. As she'd left to go grab his jacket from their room, I would like to emphasize that she is being a lovely, sweet wife grabbing his jacket for him, all the while he is telling a random waitress that he needs a punching bag to stop abusing his wife. After she returned, I just told them to enjoy the theater and left. And they left a couple of minutes later. I personally have served this family 3 times, and 2 out of 3 times he has horribly degraded his wife in some way to bond with me. I am now feeling a bit of guilt that I probably should have had a side convo with the wife, making sure she is okay. The daughter didn't give any vibes of being worried or concerned. She just seemed embarrassed, and I don't think a wife-beater would go around joking about punching his wife, but you never know with men, and I feel awful that I didn't double-check. At the same time, if I did check, I could potentially lose my job for accusing a man of abusing his wife. As I stated earlier, everything is complimentary, so we aren't making any money. My only job is to get good reviews for the hotel and make sure that guests are happy. A pretty flawed system for a group of young women serving unlimited alcohol to privileged old men who have probably never been told no in their life. All of this to say that service women are not your entertainment, and 99% of the time are not enjoying your jokes. We are paid to be nice, smile, laugh, and again to treat you like the Queen of England. The least you could do is not hit on us or actively shit on your wife to us. I promise you don't look cool or funny. You look like a freak, and every one of the servers will know about how horrible you are by the end of the shift. Degrading your wives isn't fucking funny. Love your wives, you horrible old farts. 5. I was having a busy shift with only me on the floor, as the other waitress was a minor and has mandatory breaks. I was happy about it because I could handle the entire restaurant by myself and be fine. So, I get this older gentleman, and he is waiting for someone else. He ordered both their drinks. I bring them out, offer an appetizer, the standard blah blah. Do you want to wait for them to order, etc.? This guy was chill, he was nice and personable. His joiner came about 15 minutes later, after he sat, and I greeted him as soon as he sat. I barely got, "Hello, my name's," when he said, "Pepsi, I want a Pepsi." I get this occasionally with old men treating me like freaking less than human slave who is only there to serve. I pointed to the glass on the table and said, "Yes, your friend already ordered one, it's right here." "I don't want this one, I want a fresh one." I am polite, of course. I get him a fresh one. I take their orders. Of course, he asks a million questions about everything instead of reading the fucking menu, because it's not like I have anything else to do or any other guest to help. He asked all these questions and doesn't get anything he asked about. Happens a lot with older boomers, whatever. So they're eating. I check on them. I refill drinks. I check on them after they're done, remove plates, offer dessert. They say they're just chatting and gonna hang out. Okay, fine. I go over less frequently because there's really nothing for me to do now, and they eventually stop wanting refills. They sat for an hour after they were done eating. I finally brought them the check, not wanting to seem like I'm pushing them out. The nice one hands me $6. Okay tip, I'm grateful. They sit longer, about another 20 minutes, when I'm flagged down by the rude one. You ever gonna bring us the bill?" I say, "I'm sorry, I thought I already did." Then they go on and on about how they were gonna walk out and not pay if I didn't get them their check. Well, the rude one did, while the nice one was being apologetic and whatnot. I bring them another bill. We don't usually run bills, they have to go up, but at this point, I wanted the rude one out of my section, and so I did it. This is where it gets so rude and horrible. I bring back the change, and the rude one says, "Thanks, we're all set actually," and waves my hand away, basically saying keep the change. I said, "Thank you." He then laughs and says, "Just kidding, please give me my change back." I handed it to him, shocked, and said that it was a really cruel joke. His friend, the nice one, said, "What happened? What joke?" Then asked me, "Did he really just hand you a tip and take it back?" I looked at him and said, "Yes." Then the rude one said, "Well, I don't know why you would really think I was giving it to you. Didn't he already tip you?" At this point, I walk away and I'm pissed and I kind of want to cry. Then, I overhear the rude one saying, "I never offered her the tip. She was trying to steal it." And the nice one says, "Wow, that's messed up." I swear to God, I hate old white boomers more than any other customer base, especially the ones who treat us like slaves, who are less than human. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 230. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories. Do hit the like button before you go. And if you want to get the videos a little bit early, you can support me on Patreon, which is linked in the description. Click that, take you over to the page. You'll also find a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store if you want to get some Hellfreezer merch. And you can also leave tips by clicking the little heart with the $sign below the video and select the tip of your choice. I very much appreciate it if you do it, but you don't have to. Alright, I think there is a shout out later this week, maybe Sunday, but not today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, and this one comes thanks to my moderator Shigar, that is, if you walk into a room and you have a toddler, would you rather see a Sharpie with the lid off or the lid of a Sharpie and no Sharpie itself? And personally to me, I'd rather see the Sharpie with the lid off, because at least, you can either throw it in a bin or whatever, or put it in a bag so it doesn't dry out. Because if it's just a lid and no Sharpie, that means the Sharpie is elsewhere in the house and possibly in use at that moment. On your walls, on your doors, on your pets. A horrifying thing indeed, but other opinions are allowed, so why don't you let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.